to where you can.
Okay, recording. You're good to go. I'm going to mute myself.
Okay. All right. So we are having a building today, and I feel like this topic is, some of your hardest things I think people struggle with. Just don't want to come salesy, don't want to come on.
Tiffany, I hate to interrupt you, but I can't hear you. Like, it's like I'll hear like one word and then it like echoes. Are y'all hearing that too? Like,
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but like I can't understand what you're saying because it's like it's almost like it holds one word and then like keeps going as you're talking.
Okay, so let me try. Oh, this freaking internet out here in the boondocks, I swear. Okay, let me try my hotspot.
You want to know why I'm holding the spoon? I just had my dessert of peanut butter. In case anyone saw that.
Okay, can y'all hear me?
Yes, you are just frozen, but I can hear you.
Can you hear me now? Better?
Better.
Okay. So if that happens again, just let me know.
Okay.
All right. So everything's good. Yes, you can hear me? Good? Okay. All right. So anyways, what I was saying is that, people don't want to come off too pushy or too salesy. And it's funny, I was talking to my sister-in-law today. She actually works for a different MLM business, selling some skincare products and stuff. And we were riding in the car together. We just got done with one of her spa parties. And she asked me, she said, how do you come across sounding real and, sincere and still wanting to sell your product and, sell Beachbody, but not sound like that's all you want to talk to them about? And it was funny because I'm sitting there thinking like, wow, I'm actually talking about this today on a call. And so one thing I told her is that I am so thankful I work for a company that, one, I believe in, because I don't think I could ever build relationships with people and talk to people about something that I didn't 100% believe in myself. And so for me, honestly, building relationships and talking to people about Beachbody is one of the easier things that for me, because I don't ever in a day feel like I'm having to sell anything, because I have my own story that I share with people. And I know you've heard that so many times, sharing. And I know, and I'll get to the nitty gritty of that, of actually what that is and how you're building those relationships with people. But remember that facts tell and stories sell. And I think that we have talked about that before, but it's so true, because if you don't know the ins and outs of your story and why this works for you and what it's done for you and how it's benefited your life or your family's life, then you're never going to be able to build a deeper than surface level relationship with somebody if you yourself don't believe in the products that you're a part of and that you're trying to promote. So that is key, is knowing yourself, knowing your story, being able to talk about it with ease. That means practicing it, talking with people that you're comfortable with. So your best friend or your mom, or even to yourself. Like before preparing for this, to talk to you guys, I was sitting here talking to myself. Why? Because I wanted to know that what I was saying was meaningful and that it sounded decent, right? So I wasn't like stumbling with my words. And I think that's just with anything that you're talking about. If you know it back, like the back of your hand, then it's gonna flow more naturally. So remember that it does take time. It does take time to share your story. It does take time to build those relationships. And you have to understand that it's not going to happen overnight. That is why being persistent is good, but staying consistent is even better, because you're building these relationships and you're planting these seeds, and these seeds don't plant and grow in one evening. So you don't sit there and sell challenge, you don't hit Success Club 10 by talking to 10 people, all those 10 people buy challenge pack, and then you're good to go and you don't really have to work for anything. Even as a coach being in this for almost a year and a half, I still have to work my butt off and still build relationships with people and new people and add people daily to see that success. So yes, like on the flip side, I see team bonuses and I see volume from like my coach. But at the same time, I still have to work just as hard to, attract new people and new, I guess, eyes to what I'm doing. So don't stress yourself that things don't happen overnight, because it takes time and it'll keep taking time. That's why it's so important to be consistent. So sending those, 3 to 5 messages daily. And I'll get more into ways to start building relationships in just a second. But on the social media aspect of this conversation, I want to ask you, do people know you? And what I mean, I sent out a post, like probably like the second week into this, and it talked about, would people looking at your Instagram or the last 6 pictures on your Facebook, would people get to have a clear vision of who you are as a person? Or would they just think you went off like the face of the map into this like beach body like world that you're never going to come back from? And so it's really about, sharing people the ins and outs of your lives, and not always the great stuff. When you take a picture, and I'm going to actually, maybe I can post, but actually I'm not, because it might mess up my my internet connection. But when you take a picture, it needs to be good, right? It needs to be, you like think of all these different things, like the angle, the lighting, and all of that is super important. But on the flip side of this, while that's super important, do you only show people the perfect part of your life? Because the picture that I took to show you guys, and I posted on the feed in our group, was me with my wine glass. Like I had like perfect lighting. But on the flip side of that, what I was really looking at is all the spices from my turkey chili that I didn't put up, the bag of chips that's still out. I did not wash the pot that's still on the pan. I still have half of my groceries that are unpacked. But usually I wouldn't show people that. But building relationships with people is letting people kind of see like the inside part of your life, and letting them know that you're like a normal person, and that you don't always have it together, and you don't always eat the best stuff, and that your house isn't always clean. Like if you have kids, like the obvious point is the only time it's really going to be clean is when they're sleeping, right? So, building relationships is kind of taking that coach hat off when talking to people and allowing them to see like the inside and letting people in. That is one thing that I love about live, is that it totally gets you out of your comfort zone and makes you kind of just be raw and real. Like today I was thinking, like, as I posted live, this was probably the first live video I did with Haven in the background, and I'm sitting there thinking like, oh my gosh, she's going to go crazy. She might start screaming. She might do this. She might do that. But it's like for people to get to really know me and get to like know me besides like surface level, part of that is letting them on the inside and like, well, you know what? She might scream or she might do something crazy, but that's just life. So definitely letting people in and seeing like the not so perfect side of you, just so that they can relate more and feel more comfortable talking to you. Next thing is ways to start these relationships. Side note, I know that like, letting people not see the perfect side of you. Rachel's not on, Rachel Dorman, but she does such a good job of throwing these little live videos out there. And like the other day, she totally ate like not a kolache, but like a little blueberry cobbler thing on live. Like she's just chomping on it, and it like caught my attention because here's this Beachbody coach who like talks about health and fitness all the time. Then she sat there and talked about like the balance of life, and that it's okay to splurge every once in a while as long as it's in moderation. But anyways, okay, I'll get back on track. Ways to start relationships. You definitely want to leave mystery. So in order for people to, guess and keep them guessing, you don't always want to put everything out there. And I know we've talked about this before, but give them something to allow them to think, but not enough to where they don't have to ask you any questions, right? So if you don't want to be the person who says, hey, I'm doing 21-day fix and we have these awesome Shakeology and these portion containers and it has this and it's $140 and here's my link, right? Nobody wants to, oh, hi, Easton. And so nobody wants to, you didn't make them do anything, right? They had the name of stuff. They could look it all up. They didn't have to ask you a single question. You sent them a link, but maybe they don't even buy off that link. But now they can do all their research without ever having to ask you a single thing. So definitely leaving mystery in your posts. Second thing, engage with your audience. So engaging meaning go live. Ask them questions. Whether it's about an outfit that you're wearing for the weekend, whether it's about a type of wine, whether it's about a plant that lasts during winter because you need to plant something in your garden, whatever it is, whatever your niche is, go out there and ask people a question, because if the people that are following you really enjoy your life, and so if you're sharing those things in your niches that are part of your life, you're going to get good feedback. So it's just kind of letting people in. This is, let me see, jab, jab, right hook, so breadcrumbing. And I have a calendar that I'm going to post in the files. And I also have message starters that I'm going to post in the files after we get done. But it's really just about, being honest and open and starting those conversations with a simple question or a simple comment, compliment, or question, right? So sharing massive love with people. I don't know about you, but whether it's a coach or not that comments on my pictures or gives me a compliment, it feels good. It feels good to see 3 comments underneath one of my pictures. So just think about that when you're trying to connect with people. Part of planting that seed is allowing them to see that you're kind of in their life too, right? They're not just following you, and you're kind of following them back. And for us, yes, there is a purpose with it, but don't think about it as being insincere, So think about it I was thinking the other day, because when I first started this, I was like, wow, I'm really having to learn how to build relationships with people and how to talk to people. But on the flip side of this, once you get comfortable with asking people questions or talking to people through messages, it just becomes more natural. So like I was saying earlier, the more you do it, the better you become at it, right? And so, so really planting those seeds and just getting to know them as a person, right? Because it's not all about you. So it's really about taking that coach hat off and kind of getting to know them. And no, I'm not saying stalk, but go look at their page. If there's somebody that you really think would be an amazing coach, then you need to go look at their page and talk to them about things that they enjoy. And that's from the coaching aspect. Yes, you want to be, seeking out people who would really fit your form of, just the way you are, how I think Bridget had talked about, you want to be attracting your best friend. So be thinking about that kind of stuff. But even on the challenger side of it, you still want to be able to have open communication with them and talking to them about things that they enjoy. And it's not, taking that coach hat off and not being all about you. Let me see. Does anybody have any questions so far? I was gonna, I don't want to just kind of talk, but I know for me, part of building these relationships is having to find that patience. Sometimes I think that as coaches, we kind of get caught up in our head and thinking oh, I need to sell this challenge pack. Ooh, I need to do this. Ooh, I need to do that. But when you have somebody message you about something, right? And I think sometimes as coaches, we know, like when people are in MLM businesses, like we know how this goes. So we kind of are like, I know what you're doing. You're asking me a question about myself, so then you can sell me something. So when you're writing something out, think about that. Like give yourself some time to like really think about something and not let it be so pushy and so abrupt that the only time you message somebody and check in on them is when you need to hit Success Club. You know, really, like for me, so I'm going to go into like the next part of like how to keep these relationships going. And part of that is checking in on people. And like I was saying, not just checking in when you need to hit your Success Club goal, checking in on them and seeing how they're doing. And you know, sometimes my life gets really busy because I have so much stuff going on that I have to remind myself and put in my calendar that on Tuesday nights or on Tuesdays during my power hour, I'm checking in with at least 10 customers, new and old. And why? Because I want to keep those relationships going and relationships fresh so that people don't just fall off the bandwagon. And I've struggled with that a lot, you know, like, you know, hitting Success Club 10 and having all these new people come in and then, you know, trying to keep up with them. And like, it's a lot, but at the same time, am I really adding value to my business? And what are people going to say about my business if I'm not following up with people, if I'm not checking in on people, if I'm not just asking like, hey, how's it going? I saw that your little one had to go to the ER. Hey, like, I saw that you had a stressful week at work. Like, what's going on? You know, like, how can I help? Or how can I pray for you? Or just, like I said, taking that coach hat off and just being a friend, you know, because no, not every single person that signs up with a challenge pack or does one of your challenge groups is going to be your best friend for life, but they're still a person and they invested in you. So for you to only invest in them for 21 days and then sweep them under the rug and go on to the next group of people, it's kind of a disservice for them and you, because one, you're not giving them what you've probably promised them or told them about, and two, it's not doing anything for you either, because what is that saying about the company and the business that you run? So, which is kind of reality check, because I have to remind myself of that too. Like, people are buying me. They're buying my, you know, my input, and they're buying not my services, but they're buying my motivation and my drive to get them kind of out of their rut. And yes, it has to do with them. And yes, it starts with them. Like, they're the ones that have to push play. But if I'm not adding any value to my challenge groups, which I think is so, so key, and really investing in them and, you know, just laying everything out there. Like, I look up to Deidre, one of our uplines, a lot in her challenge groups, because when she's in a challenge group, she is posting all the time. She's posting her food, she's posting her workout, she's posting what sucked for her that day, she's posting her non-scale victories, and she's always involved. And every single time I'm in a challenge group with them, I think, oh my gosh, like, this challenge group is on fire. Why? It's because she's investing in those relationships. And then probably half the time, investing in those relationships for her means coming back and making those challengers coaches, because they enjoyed the experience so much. So you have to think, like, why did you get involved? Why? What was it for you? You know, and everybody's story is different. Like, for me, I was not the person who liked, commented on anything ever for 10 months. And I watched Kate, but she was honest and real in her post. So I felt like I got to know her. Even though she never sent me a message, I felt like I knew her even more than I did in college. Why? Because she was just open and honest and real about things, and shared the good, the bad, and the ugly, right? And she constantly and consistently planted those seeds without even knowing it, that when it came time for me to decide, I need to freaking do something with my life. I need to, one, lose weight. I need to, I'm a stay-at-home mom. I needed to figure out something. Who was the first person I thought about? Who was the only person I thought about? It was her. Why? Because she was consistent, and whether it was publicly or personally, she was constantly building those relationships with people. And so even, you are still, even though you might not be personally messaging somebody, those public posts that you're putting out there on your page or your like page, that's still a part of building relationships, right? Because you're allowing people to engage with your life and what you have going on. And so, yeah, I think that's all. I mean, I don't want to just talk, but I want you guys to know, for those of you who are a little bit newer to this, that it does take time. And just a reminder for you veteran coaches that sometimes we get in this mindset of, the business aspect of it, and we forget the personal side, and kind of like giving ourselves a reality check of like, okay, like if I was on the other side of this message, like what would I want to hear? Like what would I want to be hearing from somebody? And, I keep saying this, but, taking that coach hat off and really just being a friend and being a person that somebody can talk to, because I guarantee you, if you only send out a message to somebody letting them know if a challenge pack's on sale, that's not building a relationship. But if you're asking them about something that they posted, or saying, oh my gosh, that video you posted was so hilarious, I related to it so much, just as a conversation starter, then you're not building the relationship. And so kind of really putting yourself out there and just, being a friend. I'm thinking, I think that's all I have. One thing I will say, if you're looking for key parts, is know your story, know why you believe in this, be able to say it, just be able to say it to somebody. Like the other day, actually last Sunday, I was watching church on the TV, and he asked, if somebody asked you why you were a Christian, what would you say? And I was like, it kind of like made me like jump, like, oh my gosh, like I don't really know. Like, I mean, it's because I believe in God, but whatever. So the same thing with coaching. If somebody were to say, well, why do you sell Shakeology? What's so important about Shakeology? You need to be able to say this, and this. You need to be able to say that it's the Olympic gold medalist of shakes, and it literally has changed your life because X, Y, and Z. Or if people say, why do you sell Beachbody versus Plexus? You need to be able to say X, Y, and Z. And X, Y, and Z are different for different people because you all have different stories. So that's something like a side note, just to be able to, share your story with ease, and not like you might have questions that come up where you might have to ask somebody or ask your success partner, like, hey, what do I say about this? Or, hey, how would you answer that? And that's totally okay and awesome. But be able to know and share your story with ease, because honestly, like today, I was sitting at this spa party of my sister-in-law's, and I had one of the chicks ask me, so I mean, like, where do you actually get people to do this? Like, is it just people Is it people from all over the country? Like, how do you even get people to sign up with you? And I feel like I was able to answer that easily because I sat there in bed and thought about different objections people would have or questions that people would have for me. And so I said, yeah, absolutely. Like it, a lot of it has to do with my like page and people following my story. And then just being able to share what I do and how it's worked for me, because honestly, and this is what I told her, I don't ever feel like I have to sell a single thing in my life because I truly believe in the products and I know that they've worked for me. So I feel like people are naturally attracted to that and attracted to following somebody's life that's real. And she was like, oh yeah, absolutely. I saw your mango video and the next day I went out and bought mangoes, And so it kind of like showed me that, yeah, you know what, people follow you. I had no idea that this girl even honestly had liked my page. So being honest and real and open lets people in and lets people see like a different side of you that maybe they didn't know before. Okay, so I'm just gonna stop because I feel like I'm just rambling now. Does anybody have any questions? We have like 8 minutes. I kind of made this short and sweet because I have some things that I'm gonna post in the file section, and those are different ways to talk to people. And then I was going to post one more thing. Oh, the calendar of breadcrumbing that we got at Summit. So I have those 2 things that I'm going to post in the file section in here. And does anybody have any questions or things, obstacles, or objections that they've come up with? I was reading in my Summit notes the other day, and I can't remember if it was Melissa McAllister or maybe it was, I don't know, but they were talking about how being able to answer people's objections before they even have them, right? So being able to like kind of nip that in the butt before it even arises. So just, that, but any questions? Anything? Anybody have anything to add? Something that they would like to share? Any leaders in here?
I have something to kind of piggyback off of what you said about the girl who, is that me? Like, background? Don't hear that?
I'm going to mute myself.
I don't know. Oh, maybe. Well, I heard a statistic. I don't know if it's like a legit statistic, but it makes sense in my head. It was like for every one person who likes your photo, there's probably 10 to 15 people that see it. And thinking of stuff that way, I think, has been a lot easier for me because it's really easy to get frustrated when you don't maybe see people like your stuff or comment or whatever it is, but know that people are watching. I thought about that, Tiffany, because you said that girl watched your video and you probably had no idea she went out and bought anything. And I've had so many people say the same thing to me, and I'm like, well, I've never had any interaction with them. So when you're posting to someone, use exactly what she said and like act like you're talking to someone on the other side of the computer or the phone to build a relationship, regardless if you see a response back or not, because I guarantee someone is watching. So I'll mute myself again. I don't know why. That's weird that it was. Can y'all still hear it?
No, and nobody's awake at my house, so I don't know why that would be happening. But yeah, and I was going to say something after Jamie. What is the last thing you just said, Jamie?
About the every one like you get, 10 to 15 people are watching it, or posting to someone on other across the computer or phone from you, whether you see them or not, or.
Yeah. So yeah, and I mean, you just have to remember that not every single person that is watching your journey is going to like something or comment on something. And I feel like I was pretty like interested in Facebook when I watched Kate's journey, but I never ever once commented or liked anything. I just watched. So yeah, definitely don't get discouraged by maybe not seeing as much interaction as you would like. But at the same time, I feel like I have the best conversations with people in person or over the phone. And I know that's scary for some people. And so one thing I have started to do is those voice messages on Facebook. Why? Because it's not just like a text or it's not just words. It's people being able to hear your emotion behind something, which I think is super valuable, because if I can get somebody on the phone and talk to them about either the coaching opportunity or how this has changed my life, just by them hearing my emotions, or even in person, like at the grocery store or at a family function, or like literally in the like lunch, like the teacher's lounge. Like I have people randomly ask me about stuff, and I think it hits home for people when they're able to hear you actually talking about it. Because like I get so excited. I'm like, ooh, I'm so pumped. Like Boss Babe meeting tonight. This is so freaking awesome. But I mean, if people were actually here, like how I talk and how like excited I am about this stuff, like they would probably be more excited about it. But if they just see a picture, then it might not mean as much. So really, that's why I say get comfortable in sharing your message, because I have had so many personal opportunities, like in a grocery store or in the teacher's lunch, the lounge room, or at, wherever at a family function. And when I'm able to just talk about my journey, I feel like people buy into it more because they can see my passion behind it. And if I know what I'm talking about, because if you were to go ask somebody like, well, why do you do plexus? What's the whole point? And they have nothing to say. If I was like a new person who had never tried anything, I really wouldn't be that into it. But watching somebody post and, hearing somebody talk about something, it's like, oh yeah, oh no, that sounds really good. It's like sells you by the way you talk. And so that's why I think it's really important to know yourself, know your story, and believe in it, so you're able to talk about it better. But anyways, okay, well, let's take a picture real quick. 2 minutes left. Yeah, Caroline, come over here. Ironing, babe. I haven't ironed in probably like 4 years. Okay. Yay. All right, everybody smile. 1, 2, 3. Oh, I totally cut myself off. Whoops. Okay. 1, 2, 3. All right. Any questions before we hang up? I hope you guys have an awesome day. Anything? All right. Well, those and the page. Thanks for being on, guys. I know you're busy, so thank you all so much. We'll see you.